So how do you get more views, more clicks, more people listening to your podcast, reading your blog post, watching your YouTube videos? The answer is in creating attractive headlines. Welcome everybody. This is day 4 of our 5-day challenge. Our 5-day challenge is all about helping you launch your content show. Like we've been talking about the last couple of days, we live in an amazing time where we can create a lot of content and attract an audience all for free. I mean, think about it. A blog today was like a newspaper back in the day. A podcast today was like a radio show back in the day. And a YouTube channel is like having your own TV show back in the day. And all of those things back in the day were expensive. But you can launch a blog, a podcast, and a YouTube channel for free. And that is what we have access to. And so I want to help you in these 5 days move from just being a consumer of content over to being a contributor. And by being a contributor, you can help more people, you can build your business, you can make an impact in the world. That's what we're all about. So today, what are you going to discover? Well, you're going to discover why you should be thinking like a magazine editor. We're going to talk about my favorite tools to create headlines. Many of them are free that I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. And the biggest mistake most content creators make, you're going to want to pay particular attention to that. So welcome. If you're here and you're watching in one of our locations, we're multicasting this in several places. Just go ahead and put your first name, where you're watching from, so I can say hello to you and know that you're here and that you are ready to go. Also, if you haven't seen the prior days, so you missed day 1, day 2, day 3, I'll do a quick recap in just a second. But also, we've put all of the videos into a YouTube playlist. So you can go actually over to our YouTube channel and watch that. You can go to jmill, just the letter J, mill, mill.biz/YouTube, and it'll take you right to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button, and you can go to the channel afterwards and go binge watch the day 1 through 3. Also, we have a workbook. So let me pop that up here. And I'm going to be scribbling on my iPad, filling in our workbook for today's lesson. And I want to make sure you've got a copy. No email required. You can just go to jmill.biz/workbook, and you'll be able to directly just download that from my Google Drive and get a PDF copy of the workbook. So we have been talking about a lot. And I'm going to do a quick recap because the goal of this 5-day challenge is that each day builds upon the following day. Like you just keep stacking win after win after win until you know the correct way, the most efficient way to build an audience with a blog, podcast, or a YouTube channel. So I'll show you this example again. Popping over here, I mentioned my journey. I've been at this for a decade, and I started just as a blogger. I kind of bootstrapped my way to building an audience with a blog, was able to leave my day job and blog full time, and then podcasting came on the scene. And so I had to learn the whole podcasting part of my business. And then YouTube started really taking off. And so I had to learn YouTube, and then live streaming, what I'm doing right here today, has taken off. And so I've had the fortunate opportunity to leverage all 4 of those to help build my audience. And that's why I love to teach it, because oftentimes you'll run into experts who they know YouTube, that's all they know. They're a podcaster, that's all they know. They've never had success with blogging. Or you have a person who's really good at blogging, but they've never done podcasting or attempted to do live streaming like I'm here today. And that's the unique thing about what I can bring to you is that, this is just an example of one of my blogs where I published over 320 articles that resulted in over 500,000 consistent views of my blog post. Traffic coming every single day from Google. when it comes to a podcast. I've had 3 or 4 different podcasts over the years, but the most recent one is the Market Your Message Show. And it currently has well over 250 episodes. But also, I'm moving stuff around here, but also with that is like listens. And I've been able to attract, using what I'm going to be teaching you over these few days, to get over 684,000 downloads of our podcast. And then when it comes to YouTube, published somewhere around 200 videos, and we've had almost 500,000 views on those videos on YouTube. And of course, live streaming. I started a live stream show, and we've been able to produce over 83 different live stream episodes, and even multicasting, which a lot of people want to know how to do, where here I am, I'm just in my home office, I'm live with all of you, and yet we're on YouTube right now, I'm on LinkedIn Live, Facebook groups, Facebook page, over on Twitter, and it's all happening live. I'd be on Instagram, but they don't have the opportunity to do that with a third-party software. And so I've had the opportunity to learn all those, and I want to pass them along to you. Now, here's the important point. You cannot do all of this at the same time. I don't want you launching a blog, a podcast, a YouTube channel, but I want you to choose one, do it well, and then when you feel like you've got the right rhythm, you can move to another outlet. You know, when I started podcasting, I attracted a whole different audience than I was attracting with my blog. And when I started getting a little bit more serious with YouTube, I was attracting people on YouTube that weren't podcast listeners. And that's the beautiful thing about, over time, creating this body of work. Because as we talked about on day one, there's a big difference between displaying your expertise and demonstrating your expertise. Displaying your expertise is what most people do. They put up a static website. They say, here's my credentials. Here's why you should work with me as a coach or buy my courses. Demonstrating your expertise is different. It's actually teaching people how to do things for free with your blog, your podcast, your YouTube channel. That's what I love. So let me say hi to a few people here. We got Lisa is here watching over on YouTube from Arizona. Welcome, Lisa. Mary's here from Kent, Ohio. Welcome to Mary. Kathy, watching all the way from Zimbabwe. Glad that you're here. We got Tom here, and from Worcester, Ohio. So glad you guys are here. If you're just popping in wherever you're watching from, go ahead and let me know your first name, where you're watching from, and I'll say hello to you. All right, let's get right into it, because I've got a lot to cover today. So on day one, we talked about the importance of the content strategy map. And one of the things that can help you the most with coming up with ideas is to think about what your big buckets are. What are the big buckets? And those buckets are represented here. What are your 3 to 6 big buckets or categories of what you teach, right? I mean, think through that, because inside of those categories, you can then come up with smaller blog posts, podcasts, videos inside of that. So this content strategy map, go back and watch day one on the YouTube channel. It'll teach you that. Then day two, we talked about discovering your content superpower. And I talked about the 4 influencer voices. You can be all of these things, but there's probably one that's more natural for you. So if you're a writer, you should think about a blog. If you are a coach, you should think about a podcast. If you are a speaker, you should think about a YouTube channel, because you would do great with video. And if you're a teacher, live streaming like I am right now. I'm a former high school teacher, and I love this because it's my virtual classroom, hanging out with you live right here today and answering your questions. So as we go into this, if you got questions, just put the capital letter Q in your question, and I'll answer your question here in a little bit. That's what we talked about on day 2. Yesterday, we talked about the content idea bank. That's a must watch. Go watch that. If you've ever been like, I want to do a blog, I want to do a podcast. I want to do a YouTube channel, but I don't know how to come up with the ideas. Do you remember what I said yesterday? Your message should come from your market, not your mind. This is a big, where is it? Right here. This is a big aha, right? Your message should not come from your mind. What should I write about? It should come from your market. What are they searching for? What answers do they want? And I gave you some tools yesterday, and I've got them in here in your workbook. And I showed you, go back and watch day 3. I showed you each of these tools and how I use them to discover the questions people are actually asking. And what we're doing is we're creating content that's in demand. We're creating videos that people are searching for. We're creating podcasts that people want information on. You're writing blog posts, answering questions that people have, right? And so this is a big aha. A blog is not your journal. A blog is about producing something helpful that's going to answer a question or solve a problem. It's about your audience. It's not about you. Very important that you understand that. All right, today we're going to get into secret number 4, and this is attractive headlines. You can not only do you need to come up with the ideas so that you can rank and people see your stuff, but there's one important piece we often forget about, and that important piece is clicks. And how do you get clicks? Well, you got to have an attractive headline. It's a big mistake that content creators will make, whether it's their YouTube videos or their podcast, or, I mean, think about it. Even on a podcast, you work hard to get somebody to subscribe to your podcast, but if you're a podcast listener, let me know if this is true. Even though you're subscribed to a podcast, you're still looking at the title to decide if you're interested in listening to this one or not, right? And so we can't just put, like, what most people do is they will just put really short titles that don't really explain much on their blogs, their podcasts, their YouTube videos. You need to think like a magazine editor. And that's what we're going to show you today. So most creators, content creators, use boring headlines. But the secret for you is to create headlines that get clicks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few free tools that I like to use when I am in need of coming up with some really good headlines. All right. So the first trick that I've got for you is just use the question people have. People have questions: how, what, where, why, and use your question as your headline. I started this way back in 2009. My first blog was a career coaching blog, and that's what I started doing. How long should a resume be? Question mark. That was the headline of my blog. Should I use a functional resume or a chronological resume? How do I get my foot in the door for an interview? All I'm doing is I'm thinking about my audience, the questions they will ask in Google or YouTube, and I'm making that my headline. Because doesn't that make sense? If they're asking those questions and they see a title that has the question that's in their head, they're going to click on it. So how do we discover these questions? That's what I am going to help you with right now. So I'm going to jump over into my computer. And this first one that we're looking at is called answerthepublic.com. Answerthepublic.com. Now, I've been using this example this week about baseball cards. I started getting a couple months back into selling baseball cards, kind of as a hobby, second business. I've already sold like 4 or 5 today. It's fun hearing the little cha-ching on your eBay app. But I've been thinking about, like, well, if I really wanted to grow this and like teach other people how to sell baseball cards, would I do a blog, a podcast, a YouTube channel? I would lean into one of those if I wanted to start teaching people how I'm earning money selling sports cards on eBay, right? So what Answer the Public does is it allows you to come in here and to put in basically your topic, and then it's going to generate all of the questions that people are asking on places like Google. So I'm going to type in baseball cards. I've never done this before. I'm doing it live with you guys. Let's see what happens. All right, so we hit search. It's doing its thing. And right now it's searching. It's searching through, and I know it might be hard to see, questions, prepositions, comparisons, alphabetical. And so here we go. Here we go. All right, so let me make this a little bit bigger. See if you can see it a little better. So notice that it's searched the question, baseball cards, but it did it with the word which, when, who, will, why, where, how, can, are. Now, this might be hard for you to read because it's small, but I'll read out some of these. Are baseball cards still popular? Are baseball cards from the 80s worth anything? Great topic for a YouTube video or a blog, even a podcast. Are baseball cards from the 90s worth anything? Are baseball cards worth anything anymore? Will baseball cards ever be valuable again? Do baseball cards have value? Can baseball cards be sent media mail? Right? That is my audience. If I'm teaching people how to sell baseball cards, that person is trying to figure out, how do I ship a baseball card that I sold, right? If I'm starting a education business on teaching people how to start a baseball card eBay business, that is a great, I never thought of that. That is why my message should come from my market, not from my mind. Let me know if you guys are catching this already, and I hope that you are, and I hope this is like inspiring for you, that you can use tools like this. If so, then put yes in the chat, or give me a thumbs up, or hit the like button wherever you're watching from if this is helpful. I can literally go down through here, and here's some on prepositions: without, to, can, for, near, comparisons, this versus that. And then it's got it all in alphabetical order that I can look at as well. And I mean, I could easily come up with plenty of ideas from this, right? And again, I love questions as headlines. That's a great place to start. Now, I'm going to show you this because it's pretty cool. Look up here. Up here in the top right, flashing it up here for you, download a CSV. How cool is that? You can get this, all of this in a CSV, and you could come up with as many content ideas for your blogs, your podcasts, your YouTube videos. I think that's pretty cool. All right, another one, again, that I have, let me show you this so you don't miss it. I've got these. If you want to know the links to these, they're right here. They're in the workbook. So if you arrive late and you don't have the workbook, right here is where you can go get the workbook. Go to jmill.biz/workbook, jmill.biz/workbook. So we looked at this one, Answer the Public. Let's look at this one, Blog About Tool. So this one is, it's a long link. So definitely want to click the link in the PDF to go find it, because it's a little bit harder to find. But let me jump back over here to the screen. Let me show you this one. So blog about by Impact. What do you want to blog about? Now, it's using blog, but truthfully, it's just a headline creator. So it can work for your podcast episode titles. It can work for your YouTube videos as well. So I've not done this. So I'm going to try baseball cards. Let's see what happens. Generate titles. Please complete all fields. Is this a product or service? Is it a brand or business name? Industry? It's something else. All right. All right. So we've got a bunch of titles here. Right? So the first one says number. And what this says by number, let me move myself so you can see this a little better. What it means by number. Let's see if I can make this website a little bit bigger for you. Oh, it started over on me. Let's go back again. Baseball cards. Hopefully it'll let me generate this again. Complete all fields, got it. Something else, generate titles. Okay. So some of these work and some of them don't, but it's gives you ideas, right? 5 challenges with I could add in selling. 5 challenges with selling baseball cards you may not see coming, right? That's a great angle. People are, ooh, I want to know what those are. Baseball cards versus basketball cards. Pros, cons, and recommendations. Let's hit refresh titles. Okay, 5 factors that affect the cost, or I could change that, right? That affect the worth or value, that affect the value of baseball cards. Now, if I like that, I can hit the save button. And now I've got it over here. Now, cool. And I can download my titles. I can look through here. Oh, 5 common mistakes. And I would add in there selling baseball cards. Does selling baseball cards really live up to the hype? Refresh titles. And you could just go through this and find ideas. And when you're done, click download my titles and you've got your titles. So again, you can use, if you remember yesterday, I helped you come up with a bunch of ideas. Well, you take those seed ideas, each one, and you can plug them into a tool like this so that you're always coming up with fresh ideas around your content. All right, the last one I want to show you, and I'm going to give you some tips today, is from SEOpresser. This is a blog title generator. Again, it's great for you if you are also doing a podcast or YouTube video. This time I'm going to type in selling baseball cards. Generate the title. And there, generate a bunch of titles. Right, so here's a bunch right here. 5 things you should do. And I could change it to with, make it sound good, right? With selling baseball cards. The death of selling baseball cards, maybe not. Why selling baseball cards had been so popular till now. Well, that creates some curiosity, right? Obviously, some of these always don't make sense. Like what it's like dating, selling baseball cards. I mean, obviously that doesn't. But we can click generate more titles. And we can look for some more. 7 quick tips regarding selling baseball cards. Top 10 trends in selling baseball cards to watch. 7 awesome things you can learn from selling baseball cards. So you get the idea. These are just different tools that you can use. So what do you think of those tools? Let me know. Let me know. Awesome, cool. I want to try these. Have I given you some ideas around how to create these attractive headlines? So what I want to do is I want to give you some best practices that I have seen work now that I've spent almost 12 years every week creating content, whether that's in the form of a blog, podcast, or YouTube. And these are what I call the pro tips that you can apply that can help you. Okay? So let me go back to my iPad. These are not in your notes. I've kind of added these as extra. The first pro tip is to use numbers. Anytime you use a number, the 5 top this, 3 reasons that. Anytime you use a number, there is this thing in psychology called the Zeigarnik effect. And this effect is we want to complete things. Our brain wants to complete things. And what happens is when there's a number like 3 or 5 or 7, our brain is thinking, I may not know all 5 of these. I'm curious if there's 1 or 2 that I don't know, right? If I said 5 unusual ways to make money online this week, your brain is going, I bet I know a couple of these, but I'm curious, there might be some in there that I don't know. So curiosity is a huge factor in creating titles. Huge factor, all right? The other way to do this is to stay real practical. That's what I've done here. How to. So you can use this, and I've used this over the years over and over and over again. You can reuse this. It never grows old. How to blank without blank, right? So for me, it could be how to buy sports cards without going broke, or how to ship or how to sell baseball cards with free shipping or without heavy shipping cost. So how to fill in the blank without blank. How to lose 30 pounds without dieting. How to without blank works over and over and over again. You can reuse that. Okay, the next two are, we're going to go back to English class here with the modifier, is to add a speed modifier and a time modifier. Now, a speed modifier, I think in terms of minutes, right? So, how to list your first baseball card, here's how I say. How to sell your first baseball card in under 5 minutes. That's a speed modifier. It's on speed. You can also add things like fast, right? A time modifier is going to be something like how to earn your first $1,000 selling baseball cards in 30 days, right? So I added in 30 days, and that creates intrigue, right? In 30 days, in 5 minutes, fast. Thinking about adding something to the end of your title to make it even more attractive. Okay? And then finally is curiosity, the curiosity factor. Use the word this, right? Like, want to sell cards on eBay. Do this. And your mind is saying, well, what is this? Watch this, do this, try this, download this. Have you seen this tool? And you can use the word this over and over and over again. It simply works. So think of a title that has the word this in it. And the fact that our brain is going, what is this? We want to click on it to find out more, right? Now, this is not about clickbait. I don't know if you've heard about this term. That's very important. Clickbait is when your title is so salacious that you don't really even answer the question in your video or your blog or your podcast. We don't want to do that. There's nothing more aggravating than making this big, bold promise or this big title only to not really cover it or explain it in the video, right? People don't like that. So we don't want to do clickbait. But these are some pro tips that you can use. So let me know what you think of those pro tips. Hit like, thumbs up, or just comment and let me know. All right. So here we are. This is what I want you to do. Remember, I'm a high school teacher, former high school teacher, so I give homework during our 5-day challenge. My homework for you is go do this. Don't just learn. Go to one of these websites, and I want you to create 4 headline titles. Even if you're not ready, even if you haven't decided if you're going to do a blog, a podcast, or YouTube channel, just do the exercise for fun and for getting your creative mind going on what would be 4 really good headlines using the tools that Jonathan gave me. All right? I want you to do those 4 tools or those 4 headlines because tomorrow we're going to add to this. Tomorrow I'm actually going to teach you level 1, level 2, and level 3 for a blog, podcast, YouTube channel, and even live streaming. And maybe I'll even set up a second camera and show you my live stream setup, how I have it arranged right now, how I'm able to draw on my iPad. How do I have a really clear camera where most people it's fuzzy, right? How do I able to show my screen? How am I able to flip back and forth and do cool stuff like this? We're going to be doing that tomorrow, walking you through level 1 are for the minimum you need to get started. I call that low tech. Level 2 is mid tech and level 3 is high tech. So what does low tech, mid tech, and high tech look like for a blog, podcast, YouTube video? That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So make sure you don't miss it. Also, I'm going to be covering what I'm calling the roadmap to 1K. So how can you leverage content, not to just keep people to watch or to read, but how can you actually get your first $1,000 creating a system on autopilot so they go from watching your video or listening to your podcast or reading your blog post to taking a step to get on your email list that automatically introduces them to an offer you have. And that way you're able to make income for your business from your content. The content attraction method. That's what we're going to be talking about too tomorrow. So big day tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. We're going to cover my level 1, level 2, and level 3 for creating content. And then how do we actually turn content into clients? How can you turn a content into course sales, into selling your coaching? We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. So don't miss it. That's all I've got for today. Remember, go watch the other day videos if you haven't seen it over on our YouTube channel. It's just use this right here, jmill.biz/ instead of workbook, just put the word YouTube in there and it'll take you right to my channel. And you'll see it at the top all 4 days now of this 5-day challenge. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all the kind words that you guys left for me in the comments. And we'll see you tomorrow. All right? 3 o'clock. Don't miss it. It's a big one tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun. We'll see you there. Okay? Bye-bye.